The truth is, people mostly hire people they know, or people who come from people recommended from people they know. This Hollywood is the worst at this. We only that's why some people who are terrible people keep getting the same jobs. The reason it happens ultimately is we're just so busy. It's just I can't deal with 6,000 resumes. And just help me find someone, what I want, just help me find that person. That's typically why this happens. So it is incredibly important that you are out there networking and getting yourself, building your reputation. If you have this statement, if you have this understanding of what makes you special, then you can start connecting with people and getting to know them and asking them for help, forming a relationship with them, so you become one of those people who get recommended.
Know who you're friends with, know who is your network, who your team is, because those are the people that you lean on. And those are the people who also make your life either really easy or really hard. I don't consider myself to be like that up there in the corporate sphere, but I do have a very strong network of people who have helped me get to the job I am today. And so it's kind of recognizing who you have around you, who comes to talk to you and who's open and willing to talk to you or help you in the future. Those are the people who are going to help you get jobs. Those are the people who are going to help guide you. And also, again, make your life easier.
You never know where your path is going to take you. You never know who you will encounter again and who will encounter you. I think this world is a very small world, even in this industry, but externally as well. And I think that's the beauty of relationships that are, impactful, and the ability to learn and grow. At the end of the day, we can all learn from each other, whatever that looks like. And I think that's the beauty of diversity in age, background, skill set. You can learn so much more from people who aren't just like you.
I like to give people a challenge, which is do not talk about yourself until you're asked. Try to have more questions ready to ask than you could possibly ask in a half an hour interview. Ask follow-up questions. Like, don't make it about you. And if you don't make it about you until they literally say, tell me about yourself, you will be more interesting than 9 out of 10 other people who go in for that interview that day. Because most people go in, well, I'm yada, 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 yada. And that seems like the assignment, right? But that's not the assignment. Most people want you to ask about them. They don't want to ask about you, because most people are narcissists. And especially powerful hiring managers, they're all narcissists. So feed into that and play into that.
Whenever you're in an interview, whether it happens formally or informally, there's always a tell me about yourself. And I think most people get nervous because they're like, what do they want to know? Like, my name's Courtney, I'm from Chicago, and here's my favorite food, or here's my whole life story. Figure out what that 90-second version of you is that tells people where you've been, what you're interested in, what you're great at, and where you're going. It's the stuff that is uniquely you, the stuff that if somebody had to have a soundbite about you that they're going to remember, they're going to be like, oh, Courtney was that one who did X, Y, and Z, and she's working on this, and she'd be great at whatever. Have that pitch ready at any point. That should be 2 minutes in that interview you own, that you can really drive the conversation and where the direction of that conversation goes.
When you're doing an internship or when you're looking into a company, you should be more so leaning into why you want to work there, not because they're the best, not because you're familiar with it. You're learning about how they work together, how a senior vice president talks to an intern or a coordinator. They're so much so trying to sell themselves to you as you're trying to sell yourself to them to eventually work there. That's not what's important. What's important is what you're able to learn there and understand about how they function as a company.
You might not, you start a job and have, decades of experience and built up a professional network, but you do have your POV and your life lived experiences that you're going to bring in with you day one that you walk into the company. If you're tapped into the culture, the sensibilities, it's going to be, part of your role is to make sure that, you're advising Aleka and I and the other people that you work with on how to, navigate that and what makes the most sense.
Be helpful. To me, that's been the best advice I've gotten from early on in my career and that I think about in every role position that I'm in. it's really hard early on in your career. And I think everybody has this anxiety of like, how can you really distinguish yourself? And like early on, like we're all building skills. You don't really know what your thing is. Like you may not know your superpower yet. People want to hire people that they like working with and who show up and contribute and have some energy. So really just think about like what's your team, your manager, your organization, like what's the biggest thing on their mind? What are the smallest things on their mind that you can add value to, that you could take off their plate? I think that's the greatest mindset to have, I think, at any level, from entry level to executive and everywhere in between. I think being helpful to your team is what gets you really far and what people remember and what makes people want to like vouch for you.